See a boy trigger finger done got a job in the kitchen, you know it's only a matter of time before he's getting that bag in, man. What I tell you, he been working in the kitchen for a month and he already got Miss C wrapped around his finger, man. I told you, man, trigger finger, he gonna get to that money. That's one thing he gonna do. He gonna get to that bread. Now hold up. I know trigger finger's a hustler, but he's doing way too much. When I worked in the kitchen, Miss C, she didn't allow me to go on store runs with her. He's coming back saying he's going to his girl's house 20, 30 minutes. He's doing this, he's doing that. Something ain't right, bro. I'm telling you, something just ain't adding up. What I tell you? They done locked trigger finger up and they just walked Miss C off the yard. I told y'all he was gonna get knocked off, man. Y'all think I just be hating, man. I told you something just wasn't right, man. He's out of here, bro. All this time, you mean to tell me trigger finger was a rat? He didn't last one day on the yard, man. He seen murder. Check straight in, man. Murder went to the hole and damn near murdered that boy, man. Damn shame what he did to that boy, man. Woo. Yo, once again, it's on. Back at you one more again, Real Kids TV in the house like motherfucking kitchen sinks. So I'm sitting back and I'm thinking today, and I'm reflecting as I so often do. And I'm thinking about how when you're in the streets, how your reputation just follows you wherever you go. No matter what state you go to, what city you go to, your reputation will eventually catch up with you, good or bad. Especially in the penitentiary. See, in the penitentiary, there's no place to run. Oh, you can run, but there's no place to hide. And anything that you do on the streets, people are going to find out in prison if you the man that you say you be. Now, before we get into today's story, I am the self-proclaimed Mr. 30 Minutes or Better, meaning that any story that I bring you is guaranteed to be 30 minutes or better. So if you're on your way to work, you're at work, boss is getting on your nerves, co-workers talking too loud, motherfuckers stinking and shit, you're on your way home from work, you need to laugh, you need to cry, you're trying to lay down and take a nap, or you're trying to go to sleep at night, depending on what time you're seeing and viewing, listening to this video rather. Or perhaps you're just in the mood for a good old-fashioned true penitentiary story. Well, if that's the case, then this is the channel for you. Now, with all that being said, there is a message. As I mentioned, you know, a person's word and reputation is really all that we have in this world. Think about it. Money, we can't take any of that stuff with us. Possessions, none of that can go, you know, with us. So when you're in the penitentiary and you're bragging and you're talking about I did this and I did that, you better make sure, as I previously mentioned, that you're the man who you say you be. Because people, they're going to do their homework on you. And especially now. See, when I originally started going to prison years ago, there wasn't any Google and internet and things of that. It probably was, but, you know, it wasn't nearly as popular as it is now. Hell, you might be in prison with somebody and you don't even know what they're in there for. You just take their word that they're in there for what they say that they're in there for. But now, you can just have your people look at right up. Hell, the COs will tell you, oh, he's in here for this. Okay. So you got an individual, and we just going to call him Trigger Finger. Trigger Finger. Now, I'm quite sure it doesn't take a genius to figure out how he got the name Trigger Finger. He was out here on these streets. He's doing his thing, man. I'm not even going to lie, man. He was heavy in the game. He was getting his money. He was respected. I seen a situation of where we was at the club one time, and he had gotten into it with somebody, and so he pulled that thing out. Big old silver. I mean, it was a silver. It was silver. That's all I remember. You know what I'm saying? It was a silver, because it was dark outside, and it was just shining. And so we had it out, and he was just kind of just looking around as though he was looking for his man. Now, I happen to be standing right there. Now, I know him, but it ain't like we came up together. It's not like we, you know, ever kicked it or whatever, but we see each other in passing. Hey, what's up, my dog? You doing or whatever. So I feel compelled, and typically I just mind my business. I don't have nothing to do with that. Hey, bro, it ain't even worth it, man. All these people out here, you know, the police is, you know, right down the way, bro. It ain't even worth it, man. And he just kind of looked at me. He didn't say anything. But a few months later, I ended up seeing him out again, and he pulled me to the side. He was like, hey, bro, I just want to thank you, man. He was like, because you snapped me back into reality just with those few words that you said. He was like, because I was really, really about to go ham. And they wasn't saying ham back then. In Urban Dictionary, ham is hard as a MF. So they wasn't, saying ham back then. This was years ago. But, he was like, man, I was getting ready to, cause some damage out there. So I just want to thank you, man. I appreciate that. Man, no problem, man. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't want to see you get yourself hemmed up, man. And, I know a lot of times, man, when it comes to anger, we become impulsive, if you will. And we're not always in the right frame of mind as far as making the correct decision. So like I said, man, he was respected in them streets, man. He put in his work. He handled he handled his business. Shot a couple people. He been shot or whatever. You know how it goes. He ends up getting caught up. When he gets, I think a female, somebody set him up. And when he gets caught up, he gets caught with a large amount. I'm talking about a large amount of drugs, work. And obviously, he had that thing on him. Surprisingly, the feds didn't come in and pick it up. Back then, it's like the feds weren't picking up cases at the rate that they're picking them up now. So he dodged a major bullet. So he stayed in the state. Now, the case wasn't, it wasn't as solid probably as the feds would prefer for it to be. See, the feds is not going to just pick up a case unless they know that they have an excellent chance of winning. That's why their conviction rate is as high as it is. Was it 96, 97, 98%? Somewhere right around in that range. You rarely beat the feds because most people end up taking plea deals. Nobody wants to take the feds to trial and potentially get a natural life sentence or 50 or 60 years and you got to do 85% of that time. It's rare that people do that. And so his case ended up staying in the state, and allegedly, because I didn't see any paperwork, but, a lot of people say it, allegedly, he ended up getting down. He worked with the people. They threatened to send his case to the feds, threatening with a life sentence. They want to know where you getting all this action from. Yeah, we know that you got caught with it, but we want to know where is it coming from. So again, allegedly, he worked with the people or whatever, and he ended up getting, I believe he ended up getting like a 15-year prison sentence. Well, as I've said before, now for the people that's, never been in the Kentucky prison systems or you never seen my channel, in Kentucky, as long as it's not deemed as violent, meaning you haven't robbed anybody, shot anybody, murked anybody, you're going to do 20% of your time before seeing the parole board. Now, if it's violent, you're going to do 85% of your time. Well, obviously, this wasn't a violent charge. But hold on, real Kens. Hold on. You said that he got caught with one of them things. Yeah, but that's not deemed as violent. So you do 20% of your time to the parole board. 15-year sentence, he did 3 years to see the parole board. Then you have an opportunity to go home. Doesn't mean you're going to go home when you see the parole board, but it gives you an opportunity. So if you know how to go in there and present yourself and speak and show contrition, show that you're a changed man and you take full accountability for your actions. And this is what I've been doing since I've been locked up. I haven't had any write-ups. I had one write-up. Yeah, that one right there. But it was the CO. He was messing with me. That was the CO's fault. I ain't even do it. I ain't do nothing. Nah, don't say that. Definitely don't say that to the parole board. But no, in all seriousness, you're able to show the certificates that you've earned since you've been locked up. You have a plan. When I come home, I plan to continue my education, or I've gotten my GED since I've been locked up. I plan to pursue a career in this field. I have my, you just go in there and you talk. They're just people. They're just people like you and I, everyday people. So as I mentioned, you have an opportunity to do so. He goes to prison, probably spends about 7-8 months in the county jail. By the time he makes it to the Rotary Farm, which is where you go to get processed and classified, they do your physical evaluation, mental evaluation, they classify you, as I mentioned, and they say, okay, this is his custody level, and this is the sort of prison that he'll be going to, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, or level 5. He ended up going to a camp. I believe he ended up being like a level 2. Or maybe he went behind the fence for about a year. He was a level 3, and then his level dropped to a level 2, and he was able to go to a camp. So when he comes to the camp, he's happy. I mean, behind that fence, behind them walls, man, there's lions, tigers, bears, goons, gorillas, wolves. I mean, it's just miserable behind the fence. Because it's like it's in the air. You got a bunch of people that's never going home. You got a bunch of people that's walking around with 50, 60 years and you would never even know it. They rapping, they walking around just kicking it every day. You come to find out this dude got 60 years at 85%. He's 27 years old, been locked up for 9 years. You would never know it just by looking at an individual. And so, as I mentioned, it's better time behind the fence as far as opposed to being in a county jail. But it's very, very violent. Jail in general is violent. Even at these camps. Don't get it twisted. Even at these camps, because you have individuals that have worked their custody levels down. And so now they're at camps. And then some people just start out at camps. They're just violent individuals in general. Perhaps they're not in prison for their temperament, their temper. But they'll snap at the drop of a dime. So you never ever can get too comfortable in jail. Triggerfinger, he ended up coming down. Like I said, he made his way to the camp. And, you know, he's pretty popular. Everybody knew about him in the camp. It was quiet whispers that he had told on somebody, but nobody was really gonna, you know, confront him or do anything to him. As I mentioned, he's at a camp. When you're at a camp in Kentucky, you're within 48 months of either going home or having a possibility to go home. So most people, they're on their best behavior. He ends up getting a job in the kitchen. Now, when he gets his job in the kitchen, he gets in good with some of the workers that come in. See, you have inmates that pretty much run the kitchen, but you have a company called Airmark, and they control the food. So they bring all the food in, they cook the food, what have you. And the lady's name is Miss C. That's her name. That's her real live name, Miss C. And I'm going to use her name because Miss C used to be ornery. She used to be really, really ornery, man. She's a black lady, and, you know, you try to talk to her, you try to ask her a question, she just mean mug you and always got something slick to say. Hey, Miss C, think I can get a couple more potatoes? I didn't get you take what you get. Get out of my line. Damn. Is that what this is about, Miss C? I just wanted somebody. You want to get it right up? Get out of my line. Okay, you right. You right, Miss C. So she was one of those type of individuals. She was probably, I don't know, she was real short, maybe about 5'2", 5'3", probably weighed about 260, 250. Little short curly hair, caramel complected. And you know, maybe at the time she was in her 40s, early 40s. But nevertheless, trying to paint the picture, you all, so you can imagine Miss C. This individual, Triggerfinger, he gets in good with Miss C. Because, see, when you're coming from the streets, I believe it was like 2 or 3 people that worked on the staff at Airmark. So you're coming in from the streets, you're bringing the food in, you're doing the inventory. And at this particular time, twice a week, Miss C would make runs to the store to grab, different foods. Now, the reason that she did that, Airmark, the food would come in on a truck, right? Just like anything else, it would come in on a truck. But at the camps, they're going to make all that they can make off of inmates. So twice a week, they would go to like Walmart, or they may go to Kroger, Sam's, whatever store, and purchase a bunch of different items that could be sold to the inmates. It's called fresh faves. So for instance, this week they may have steak, potato, and a salad. It's going to cost you about $100, but they offer it. Not literally $100, but it's going to cost you about $27, $28. But it's worth it. You in prison, you ain't really had no real food. Yeah, you can buy food from the commissary, but it's nothing like a steak and potato and a nice salad. And so they would offer these meals, let's just say on a Monday, and then they'll come back either on a Thursday or Friday, and they may have pizza, or they may have Lee's chicken, just whatever, anything, once again, to take inmates' money. Well, when she would go out to the store, she would need somebody to go with her. Triggerfinger was the one that, he was in good with her, and he would go with her every store run. Now, automatically, everybody on the yard is just assuming that, Miss C and Triggerfinger, they doing their thing or whatever. They're romantically involved, to say the least. But Triggerfinger had much, much bigger plans. He got in good with Miss C. As an Aramark worker, I don't think that she was exactly making the amount of money that she felt as though she should have been making. Triggerfinger had a plan. Right there, he's close to his hometown. He's not in his hometown, but he's close to his hometown. He still got connects on the streets. Listen, man, that's all I need you to do. Stop me by my people's house. Allow me to get this. Allow me to bring this in. And I'm going to start breaking you off. I'm going to start breaking you off for $1,000 a week. Initially, she said no. Well, I'm not doing that. I'm going to risk my job. No, I'm not doing that. All right. A few weeks passed. I guess she got to thinking about that $1,000 a week. So you mean to tell me that all I got to do is just drop you by here and you'll give me $1,000 a week cash? I got you, Miss C. $1,000 a week cash. I ain't never gonna say a word. Ain't nobody got to know. It's just our secret. So what exactly are you gonna be bringing in? I'm not bringing in no hard drugs, nothing like that. It'll be primarily cigarettes, because they had taken cigarettes off the yard. They took smoking out of the Kentucky prisons. A little bit of weed, some spice at K2 at Spiz Ice, and every once in a while I got some strips. You know, the white boys like the strips. Maybe a phone every once in a while, but you'll never be implicated. I'll bring it in. Only thing I need you to do is stop me by to get it, people's information or whatever, and I'm gonna make sure that you get $1,000 a week. You go get you what's called a green dot card. Back then wasn't no Cash App. You get green dot. Go to Walmart, Walgreens, somewhere like that, get you a green dot card. Costs about $4 or $5, and you can literally transfer money. So meaning that if I had a green dot card and you had a green dot card, I want to pay you $200. I go to my green dot card. I make sure that $200 is on my green dot card, which somebody on the streets would load it up for me. And I have your number, your account number to your card. I can easily just transfer the money from my card to your card just like that. That's how transactions were made back then. Like I said, there was no Cash App, Zelle, none of that stuff. Dudes was really, really making some money. This dude was killing it. Because as soon as he came to the yard, he already had individuals that was going to buy it. Now, some of the people, you know, that he would sell $30 here, $40, $50, just give me something out of the commissary. So his locker stayed full. Anything that he wanted in the commissary, he never had to spend his own money. His people were sending him money. So the money that his people sent him, he was just able to save that money. And he's making plenty of money by Miss C. Then he got to the point to where she was stopping by his girl's house. He'd go in for about 20, 30 minutes, handle his business. He'd come out. Come on, Miss C, I'm going to give you an extra couple $100, man. Just stop me by my girl's house. Miss C was all about that bread. She was all about that dollar, that cornbread and that cabbage. That motherfucking Skrilla. Miss C was about her money, man. I got to give it to her. She started coming to work. Her hair's done now. She got her nails done. She's in a lot more friendly mood. But nobody really thought much of it. Triggerfinger, he continues to make money. He's the man on the yard. Well, it doesn't take long before administration, his name starts to ring in the ears of the administration. There's nothing they could really do at the time because they didn't have any proof, but now they're watching. Now he's under investigation, a special investigation. They're watching him. The thing about prison, people that's never been to prison, they may not realize that there's snitches, there's rats in prison too, informants. Same way on the streets, they have them in prison. They have certain people that, they keep their ear to the streets, to the prison yards. And anytime something's happening, they go to the people. They're on payroll. X amount of dollars per month for commissary, per week, however it's set up. I don't know exactly, but I know that it is definitely factual. And also, we're going to help you as far as, making parole. You're doing a good deed. And so if somebody sees these individuals and they hear something, they know that it's going down, they go and tell the people. So I'm assuming that's how Triggerfinger's name started to ring. Plus, he was talking a little bit too much. Oh, man, I stopped at my girl's house, man, and she got that thing out. She came to the door, and Miss C, man, she loved me, man. I got Miss C, man. She do whatever I tell her to do. See, loose lips break relationships. So instead of him just keeping it low, handling his business, not saying anything, just getting his money, he had to let everybody know that he was that guy. As time went on, his name began to ring louder and louder. They ended up setting him up to where when he brought it in, he was supposed to make a transaction, but the individual that he was supposed to make the transaction with ended up being one of the yard informants. Now, they didn't just put it out there and say, oh, this guy's an informant, but you know how to put 2 and 2 together. And no matter how you slice it and dice it, and 2 plus 2 is always going to equal 4. So they take him to the hoe. Once he goes to the hoe, they're threatening with outside charges. You're about to get additional time on top of the time that you already got. Triggerfinger couldn't take it. He spills the whole beans. He tells about the whole operation. He tells about Miss C, about when they going on these runs to the grocery store. He's saying Miss C was coming on to him. And one day you just see Miss C being walked off the yard. Literally walked off the yard. Now, when you see staff getting walked off the yard, that means they're getting fired. She's lucky that she didn't get walked off the yard in handcuffs. He's in the hole. Miss C gets walked off the yard. He done told the whole skit, the whole spiel, if you will. They ship him immediately. I think he lasts on the yard maybe 2 or 3 days, or in the hole rather, for 2 or 3 days. Then they ship him. He goes to Eastern. Belly of the beast, man. Eastern is the belly of the beast, man. Besides Eddyville, Eddyville's maximum security home of death row. That's where Fleece Johnson did the majority of his time at. Back then, hell, probably even now, but back then, man, Eastern, man, is not a place you wanted to go. The Pink Palace. That's what they call it, the Pink Palace. Look it up, man. Eastern Kentucky Correctional Complex. Gorillas for real, man. Lions, tigers, and bears, man. You're going to get your issue down Eastern, man. So when they send him to Eastern, he goes straight to Eastern's hole. Yeah, because he was already under investigation. He had to go through court call. Court call is just basically a court proceeding that you go through while you're incarcerated. You go before a committee. They hear your case. You have a legal aid, which is another inmate that's gone through, I want to say 6 weeks, 8 weeks of training. And he's representing you. Most of the time you're going to lose in court call. Every once in a while, you'll win in court call. If you got a guy, there was a guy named Paul York, man. And if you're from Kentucky, you've been in the prison systems, you will recognize Paul York was a bad MF. I'm talking about, man, he was getting people cases, put back in the court. He was getting people, he was filing motions. He was winning all the court calls or what have you, because they still have to go, by the book procedure. Paul York was a bad man. Every place he would go, they would transfer him to another facility because he was getting too many inmates off. Pause. When I say getting them off, meaning he was getting them, out of write-ups and getting people's cases back into court and convictions overturned. This guy was a bad man. Studied the law books, stayed in the law library. So unless you have somebody like that representing you, as I was previously speaking of, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get convicted at court call. You're going to end up taking a plea deal. He ended up taking a plea. I think he ended up having to do like 45 days in the hole. He lost so much good time. I'm not sure if it was restorable or non-restorable. It was probably restorable, meaning that if you lose 180 days in good time, if you go X amount of months or a year or so and you don't get any, write-ups, anything like that, you get that good time back. His custody level went up, so he couldn't go back to the camp until his custody level went back down. Well, he was never going to be able to come back to that camp, but there are other camps that he could eventually get to. He's in the hole. He don't really know who's on the yard. He knows a lot of people that's on the yard, but it's one individual. It's one individual that he doesn't know that's on the yard. They know that he's in the hole, But they don't know, he doesn't know that this individual that allegedly he told on the streets is on that same prison yard. He comes out of the hole. He's happy to be out of the hole. He see all his homeboys. Everybody's giving him dap or whatever. Now, in Kentucky prisons, it's not really heavily gang populated. You got some gangs, Crips, Bloods, Vice Lords. You got some gangs, but it's more so by your city. And then within your city, you have different cliques. So, say for instance, Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville, Kentucky is a big city. Well, the whole Louisville don't ride together. You might have, the west side of Louisville. Then you might have, the east side of Louisville. You see what I'm saying? The north side of Louisville. So you got just different sections. They kind of, ride together. He ends up seeing this individual. Had no clue that he's on the yard. It didn't take him long to see him. He sees him the first day. Oh, man, in his mind, he's thinking, I'm in trouble. I'm in deep trouble, man. Dude's name was Murder. Smurder. Now, don't get it twisted, because there's several different murders that I've met throughout the Kentucky Department of Corrections. Actually, it's 3 or 4 different murders. But nevertheless, dude's name was Murder. He had a real serious problem with trigger finger. See, not only did he have a problem with trigger finger, and he was telling people, man, he's a rat, man. That dude's a rat. He had the paperwork. He had the paperwork to where this guy's government name was on there. Because, see, they have to give you your paperwork. You go deep enough in your case, in which you really don't have to go that deep in your case. When they give you your motion for discovery, that's what it's called, your motion for discovery. Basically, they're presenting the evidence. The prosecution has to present the evidence that they have against you and the evidence that they intend to use against you moving forward in the case. And if you go to trial, they will present that evidence against you to the jury. Y'all rock with me. I got to have my water. And so when he sees this individual Murder, he can't stay on the yard. There's no possible way he can stay on that yard, man. Murder's name is Murder for a reason. Even though they in penitentiary, Murder's name is Murder for a reason. Not to mention, Murder got a hell of a clique. He got goons around him that ride with him, that do what he say do. Trigger finger goes to the administration. Hey, get me off his yard. I don't feel safe. They put him in solitary confinement. Solitary confinement is basically just like the hoe. Now it's a little different because they don't take your items. Like, you can still have your stamps and your just things that you couldn't have when you're in the hoe. You can have those things in solitary confinement. I think you can have probably I don't know if you can have a TV. I don't know if you can have your radio or anything like that, but I think that you can. Commissary, things like that you can't have in the hoe. He goes to solitary confinement. Now, eventually he knows that he's going to be transferred out of solitary confinement. But until then, until they get a bed space for him, that's where he'll be at. He's in solitary confinement or what have you. And Murder looks at this as his one opportunity to get this guy. Murder had a boatload of time. I want to say he had 20, 22 years, 85%. And so he was like, nah, I got to get this dude. I got to get him. Think about prison. You can go to the administration and say, hey, I have a problem. I don't feel safe right now, man. Get me off the yard. That's what Murder did. So they got Murder off the yard. Now he's in SEG. Triggerfinger knows that Murder's in SEG. But even though in SEG, they keep you separated. You're in a cell. You're in a cell. You're in a cell. But it's the same walk. So when I say the same walkway, meaning if you're in cell A and you get out, you're on a walk. And so you'll see cell A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on and so on. But while you're out on rec, you can, walk along the walk, or you can go outside in the rec yard, or you get an hour. Triggerfinger knows that I got to get out of here, but I can't really rush the situation. Whenever they come and get me is whenever they come and get me. I just have to make sure that I'm never out with this individual. Murder's plot. He can't wait to get him. Now, I don't know the exact situation, what happened, as far as how they ended up out of the cell together. I don't know if murder bribed the CO. I don't know, but there was a situation to where they were both out of the cell together. Triggerfinger was out on rec. Murder was let out on rec. I tend to believe that he probably paid the guard off, the CO. Even though Murder was in prison, he was still getting that money. He was getting to that bag. Probably gave him $500, $1,000, something like that. Look, man, just pop the doors or whatever. Let me out. Whatever the case may be, once that happened, no talking. He runs up on Triggerfinger, and when he runs up on him, he immediately just believe he had a lock and a sock. Now, Triggerfinger wasn't no punk. Now, he didn't want to see murder, but it was a one-on-one situation. So Triggerfinger, he's fighting. He's trying to fight back. The problem is he had already been split with the lock and the sock. So he was halfway, he was halfway out of it. Murder's getting the best of him. He gets him down to the ground or whatever. He's taking that lock and the sock, and he's just beating him. He's pounding him in his head. Bam, bam. He's talking crazy. Bam, bam, bam. How do I know this? I wasn't there, but I do know people that were there. Done over 11 years in the Department of Corrections. And so, and not to mention, I have talked to Triggerfinger. Now, he didn't, some of these things you got to kind of put two and two together, because nobody's really going to tell you when they get the brakes beat off. You know what I'm saying? If you got the brakes beat off you, you're not going to tell them every exact detail. But again, you put two and two together, mixed with the fact that other people were there. He's beaten. I'm talking about Murder. He's just pounding him. When it was all said and done, the COs came, broke it up, sent Murder back to, his cell, what have you. And Triggerfinger was out. I'm talking about his face was really, really damaged. So much to where they had to airlift him. He didn't go to the infirmary. So there's a difference. When you go to the infirmary, that's not good. But when you get airlifted to the local hospital, university hospital, that's really, really, really not good. And this individual, Triggerfinger, got airlifted out of there. And he goes to the hospital, and obviously he wasn't unalive. He made it. Because I see him to this day. But at the same time, I believe that if Murder had a little bit more time, I'm not sure if Triggerfinger would have made it. Now, I can't say what's going to happen, because Triggerfinger is still Triggerfinger. He appears to be laid back now. Not sure exactly what he's into. But again, he's called Triggerfinger for a reason. So if the two ever cross paths, I don't know what would happen. So you don't forget about an individual that did that to you. But at the same time, you don't forget about an individual that told on you, that ratted on you, and put you in the penitentiary. This was so long ago that Murder, either he's out, I haven't seen him, but either he's out or he's on his way out. We talking 17, 18 years ago. At 22, 23 years, something like that, at 85%. He's very, very close to get down if he's not already out. Sometimes people move to different cities when they get out. You got to change people, places, and things. But that's only if you're looking to change. Most people I know that get out of penitentiary, they looking to get right back to it. Same thing that put them in there. They've met people. They've learned, how to do things. The same thing they was doing, but just in a different manner, a different form, a different way. Got new connects. And again, this is not everybody, but this is a lot of people. They're looking to get out and run it up. Even though Murder made plenty of money while he was already locked up, when you come home and you see people that were below you as far as in your mind, and when I say below you, meaning financially, and then when you come home, they're here, and you come home, you don't have a car, you don't have a driver's license because you've been locked up for so long, you don't have no clothes, no jewelry. You see what I'm saying? And you see all these other people and they shining, they done came up, and you looking at it like, man, this was my little man's back then. I remember back then, man, he ain't have this, so I was serving him. Nah, I got to get back. Next thing you know, you right back in the game once again. It's a street life, man. It's I don't know, it's addicting. Like, oftentimes in prison, they'll recommend you go to a class and like a substance abuse class or something like that. And you're like, hold on, man, I don't even use drugs. I don't even smoke weed. I just smoke weed. It doesn't matter. It's the addiction to money, the fast money, the lifestyle, the living. So it's an addiction. It's all the same as being addicted to drugs or gambling or drinking. It's all the same. You can't tell on people in this street game and just think that it's going to be all sweet. Now, does it happen? Yeah, it happens. Plenty of people that have told on people, and there hasn't been consequence one. Nothing has happened. But when you jump into this sort of situation, this sort of lifestyle, you got to understand that you're going to be a target. You got to understand that people's going to set you up. They're going to tell on you. They're going to try to rob you. Some people are going to try to knock you off. They're going to try to take your position. They want you moved out of the way. So they'll do whatever they can do to get into your spot, your position. They coming for their number one spot. You're going to end up in the grave or the penitentiary. And just because you end up in the penitentiary once don't mean that you can't go back twice or a third time or a fourth time. And eventually you're going to strike out, and then people are going to get tired of fooling with you. And them feds intervene. When them feds intervene, book them, Dano. It's over. Lifestyle's over with. Life's over with. 40 years, 85%. You already, 41. It's a wrap. Now you're in the feds. Only thing you have is memories. You got some pictures to show people. Hey, man, I remember we was right here. Oh, on this picture, man, I had this female. She was bad. Oh, right here, look, man, I got 35,000. But you don't got nothing now. You're in the federal penitentiary, dead, cracked, broke. Barely got anybody to accept your calls. Your loved ones, your people start to pass away, unfortunately. But it's just a part of life. 40-year sentence. Well, you think your mother's going to make it through? Your father's going to make it through? Your kids is grown? You in the feds, you way in a different state, Oklahoma somewhere, so you don't really get to see your family. It's not worth it, man. I'm going to preach this and I'm going to teach this until I can't any longer. Get you a job, get you 2 jobs, get you a trade. If you don't got your GED, don't wait to go to prison to get it. Get your GED now. Get you a trade, learn how to get you a skill. I don't care if you go to barber school. I don't care if you learn how to build houses. I don't care if you landscape. Get you a trade and learn how to use your hands. Because you never know where that will eventually go to. Don't worry about what you see. Don't worry about all the people that's doing better than you. That's an illusion in most cases. Now, you have some people that's doing the right thing and they're doing better than you financially, but that don't make them better than you. It just means you got to get on your grind and you got to keep hustling. Hustle hard. See, I see other YouTubers that, now I've only had my channel for 15 months. And I see other YouTubers that have astronomical numbers. And kudos to them. And I say that in the most congratulatory, if that's even a word, I believe it is, manner. Congratulations. Keep getting it. Keep getting that, keep getting it. But I can't focus on what the next YouTuber is doing. Only thing I can do is be the best person that I can be. I can't come on here and make up stories. I can't come on here and just say things for views because that's not genuine. Now, anybody that does that, that's fine. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying that Real Kens TV, you're going to get genuine stories. That's why I try to tell stories, not just prison stories. I try to tell stories to where people can actually relate to. Because we all go through things in life. Everybody goes through something in life. We have our highs, we have our lows. I don't worry about seeing this YouTuber and he has 150,000 subscribers, 250,000 subscribers, 80,000 subscribers. My time will come. But I got to pay my dues just like in life, you pay your dues. You have to be able to handle things at a smaller level Then you go to, the next level. There's levels to it. Like Meek Mill said, then you go to the next level. You're not going to just go to the pinnacle. Go straight to the top. So if you can't handle things at a smaller situation, if you will, then how are you going to handle it way up here? I'm thankful for the people that view my videos, that chime in, that comment. Even the people that don't agree with me, that's fine, because guess what? I don't need yes people around me. I don't mind you. Hold on, Kens. Now, that wasn't right. You said this. You said this. Call me out. It's okay. I don't need yes people around me. One day I'm going to get there. And so I correlate basically my YouTube experience with individuals that are on the streets. You have a business. It's not really, flourishing at the moment, but you're maintaining. You have a job and you feel like you keep getting passed by, as far as promotions or just whatever the case may be. Your relationship's not going as well as you want it to go. Work, grind. That's what I do. I keep grinding. I keep hitting y'all with this motherfucking action and this heat. Every day I'm grinding. Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm bringing you this. I'm bringing you stories every single day. Eventually I'm going to do 2 stories a day, but right now it's not the best time for me to do 2 stories a day. Keep working, man. Keep working. That's what Jay Williams told me. Keep motherfucking working. Shout out to Jay Williams, man. 90 days to the streets. Jay Williams will be home in about 90. Keep working. So anything that you're trying to do, it don't have to be YouTube. Another individual sent me a message. He got in the comments. I believe he got out last year, and I wish that I knew his name because I was sending him a shout out. I just don't remember the name right off the top of my head, but you know who you are if you happen to be seeing this video. He got out. He ended up going back with a new charge on parole. He got out last year, 2023. He's doing well in life. He's left the street life alone. He's not doing anything. He's working and everything. And he wants to start a YouTube channel, but he's like, man, there's so many people already doing it. And they have large followings. And I don't know, man, work, man. You got a phone. You got internet. Start your channel. That's all you need. You don't need no fancy equipment. You don't need no fancy clothes. Hell, I do most of my videos in my work clothes. My work uniform. Work, man. That's all you got to do. You put in the work. You put that work in, and eventually, you're going to see the fruits of your labor. Real Kens TV. Hopefully you like the video. Feel free to comment. Definitely share. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Be sure to hit that post notification. A lot of people saying they're not getting my notification, or they're not getting notifications whenever I drop a video. If you're not getting the notifications and you have that post notification on, just check every day, because I'm dropping jewels every day. Or if you want to check every other day, or whenever you see fit to check, just know that I'm brought you that action and that heat. Real Kens TV, man.